Hello, everyone. My name is Brian again. Monday, back for the Monday Club, the 22nd of February, 8:30, and I'm joined here with Dean and Alan. How are we keeping, lads?
How are you, lads? Happy Monday.
Good for a Monday.
Good for a
Yeah.
Monday.
Weather's fairly
look,
shit outside, though. We're in for a stormy night, I think.
I was actually just going to say that, so I was going to bring this up. Basically, just seen this on the boys and girls of Knocker page. I said, why not better to do it? So Cork City Council would like to advise residents, communities and business of a very serious imminent weather event which will affect all parts of the city. Met Éireann have issued an orange rainfall warning from 7 p.m. tonight, Monday, February 22nd, which will continue until Tuesday, February 23rd, tomorrow night. So that's available on the boys and girls of Knocker page if anybody wants to go and check that out. So lads, the guest tonight, Ann-Marie Nicholson, just to run through a bit about Ann-Marie. Ann-Marie opened the first Slimming World group in Cork City. There was only actually one in Youghal at the time. That was on the 1st of January, I think she said, 2014. She was a self-employed consultant, with kind of franchisee for 6 years. She became a team developer in 2017, alongside a consultant role managing a team in Cork City. In April of 2018, she became a district manager, which covers more, Munster area. She looks after Cork, Waterford, Kilkenny, Carlow, Wexford and Wicklow. She has 3 kids. They are 9, 7 and 5. And her husband, Andrew, is a dairy farmer for her sins, she said. So, lads, we'll be back with Ann-Marie right after this.
Hi everybody, it's Alan from Unity here, and we're asking you if you'd like to get involved. If you're a community group, sporting organisation, or indeed a business you'd like to take part, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us on our usual social media platforms, of course our website unitymedianetwork.com.
Ann-Marie, how are you keeping?
Good, how are you?
Good now. We'll talk about the free milk later.
you got a fantastic introduction, but you only left out one part. She's also a North Sider.
Oh yeah, but so look, that'll go without saying. I don't think
about that,
yet. So Ann-Marie, just the reason we got John is basically, look, working from home, it's widespread. No, it's not a new thing entirely, but it's widespread again.
No.
With a lot of facilities being closed down, not available for entertainment after work, kids being at home a lot more than they usually would be. We said we get John and see how basically to balance work and home life all at once. So look, just even on that, we'll go back to the start. You were self-employed and you started in 1st of January 2014. Can you tell us how that came about?
I think we have a technical glitch
I'm after
already.
freezing.
I think so. I think it's the weather.
I'm sorry.
No, we can
Am I
hear you
back?
fine. No, we can hear you fine. Yeah, it's just the
We'll
weather
work with
is
it.
very bad. So we'll work with it.
Brian gave out the
Just
weather
take a guess
warning.
of what he asked you and answer it.
Take a guess. I think he said something about going back to the start. Is it?
Yeah, so when you started as a self-employed consultant, like how did that come about for you?
Well, I joined Slimming World in Youghal actually, and it was the first one, as I said, in Cork. And I joined in September 2013 as a member. Always struggled with my weight. At that point, I had a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. I knew nobody in the area because I'm from the city, and it was just brilliant. Everybody was so nice, and I made loads of friends, and we recruit from our member base. So that's how I became a consultant. Then I was given an opportunity to open my own group. We have to recruit from our member base because you have to have felt what it's like to struggle with being overweight, to be able to relate to people and to be able to help them on their own journey. So that's what happened. And it's just gone from strength to strength. There's 65 groups in Cork now. And there's, hundreds across the country. So it's brilliant. We want to have a group that's accessible for everybody, basically, because, if I work a 12-hour shift on a Tuesday and there's the only group in my area is on a Tuesday, I need to be able to go somewhere else. So we want to make sure there's one nearby at least for somebody on a different day. So that's how it happened.
Is it Alan after freezing now? Or?
No, sorry, I thought Dean was coming in there. Like, the big thing, Anne-Marie, for when we were discussing about our guests is that we want people to be educated on some aspect of something in their life. And the one thing that everybody that has been affected by the pandemic since last year is how their businesses have changed. So as a business, you must have had a huge change as soon as this happened last March. Like, how have you adapted to it as a company?
It was huge. And like, I remember the first thing that fell apart for us was the venues, because every consultant has to have a place to run their group, whether it's a GA club or whether it's a hotel, or, you know, people have their groups in schools. Everything started to shut down. So consultants started to lose their venues. And, you know, I suppose at the time, I don't think I'm alone in that a lot of us thought this was an overreaction, you know. But what this meant was all of our self-employed consultants were left without their business, without their income. And Slimming World were on the case immediately, and they made it possible for consultants to run their groups virtually, which is unreal. It's not something that we've ever done before. And it made it possible for all these people. You know, I look after 65 people, and it made it possible for all of them to maintain their income, support their families, and pay their bills, which is unreal, because I've so many friends. Even my sister, she has a bar in Puerto Rico and the Canaries. They're closed, their income is gone, and they get very little support from the government over there. So we're so lucky that we're in a position where Slimming World made it possible for us to keep going. It's great, and people can still get the help that they need and want by logging on and joining their local consultants group. It's the same service, it's just unfortunately on the screen. But yeah, it's brilliant.
Would you have seen, we'd say, over the pandemic, would you have seen an increase in numbers and people looking for, we'd say, support or to join Slimming World or reach out to groups?
Yeah, what we've noticed, Brian, is that there are people struggling with their weight now who never ever did before. And, you know, it's changing lifestyle, isn't it? Like, people were used to being so active.
I'm the same. I played soccer for a local club. I think Dean even knows the club, Granton United, and then all of this came in, no exercise. I took up walking. I think I must be walking 25, 30k in a day, but my appetite, and Alan will vote for this, I've been at his wedding.
He loved his food.
My appetite is up here, so my exercise needs to be up there with it. And if you tell me I can't do anything, I have to stay at home and watch Netflix and eat. We'd say, in one sitting, I'd eat 2,000 calories, you know? So, it's like it's the whole exercise thing. So I see how people are feeling, but some people may not be as active, or they may need the support, or may not have any experience in it. So it can be a hard time for a lot of people, mentally, physically, you know, from every aspect.
Big time.
Anne-Marie, so in the past, obviously, you'd have a higher number of women being members of Slimming World, because obviously fellas probably don't want to go, because it's probably just something men don't join. Do you find the numbers have gone up with men joining because it's more of a personal thing now, rather than what it was in the past?
We've always had male members, and the funny thing is like, even in my own group, for example, it would have been the 7:30 in the evening group where there was loads of men, because what happened was a man would join and he'd see other fellas, and that was grand. Then it was safe for him to stay, you know, because I suppose just to be more comfortable. Definitely, I think because we're in the virtual world, it has made it a little bit easier for men, because they're not walking into a room full of women. And like, we would love to have loads of men in our groups. We really would. But it's just, I suppose, as you say, Dean, like, you know, a fellow walks into a room, sees a load of women, and it can be daunting. I spoke to a guy a few weeks ago, actually, and he said that it's because we went virtual that he was able to join, and now he feels great. He's got his target. He's lost like 4 stone. But he says when physical group comes back, he'll have no bother walking in now because he's more confident in himself, you know.
It's that initial step.
So I'd say it's made it easier, all right, definitely.
Some comments there coming in. Brian might bring some up. So there was one person there. I think we've somebody up the country there, Brian. Yeah. So hi, Ann-Marie Nicholson from Slimming World. Somebody from Thomastown.
My own personal fan there.
Yeah,
Mr.
Patrick.
We'll be getting to him later, don't worry. Oh, I see him now. Oh, yeah. God. Every week.
If anyone has any questions, I think as well, like one of the main topics that I think people can get is, so pre-pandemic, all those years ago, what's it like being self-employed and having a small family? Is that a big challenge initially, like, you know, just to give kind of some of the viewers a bit of insight as to if they're thinking of becoming self-employed, what's the real world like?
Yeah. Well, I suppose my 2 kids at the time, there's a third one since, like, but at the time, the 2 small kids, like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't working. As I said, Andrew's a farmer. He works really long hours, like 7 days a week. I never thought anything would be possible, but being self-employed meant for me that I could work it around my kids. So while they were gone to bed at night time, I could contact my members and do my admin, or if they went for a nap, I could make a few phone calls. It is hard. You have to be disciplined, you know, you have to really want it to work. And I really wanted it to work because I knew that I needed something, you know. I take my hat off to any stay-at-home parent because it is the hardest job in the world. And I think for me, I needed this to work because it suited my family at the time. And I think anybody who is looking to become self-employed, you need to know that you make the decisions, of course. Your diary is your own, but you have to be a self-motivated person because nobody else is going to do it for you. You need to be able to sit down and go, right, I need to get this done today, because the work doesn't go away, and a business can fail if somebody isn't highly motivated and doesn't have a good, strong work ethic, definitely.
And is it more difficult for a mother, for a female, shall we say, to start off a business when they have children, or do you think that it's something that whether you're a man or a woman, it's equal problems for both?
Jesus, Alan, calm yourself there, boy.
I just think there's a stigma out there, and a lot of people think that if you're a female and you're a mother, you shouldn't be going off and setting up your own business. You shouldn't become self-employed. You're supposed to stay home and take care of the family. And that's the dark old age image, but it still goes on, unfortunately, you know.
It's still there. You're right. It is. And yeah, like, I mean, I would have had people telling me I was mad. You know, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself through that? It is. Look, I do think it's a little bit harder for a woman, especially when, like, my plan was to stay at home, and then when I tried it, it wasn't for me. So then doing a full 360 into becoming self-employed was totally different. I often joke with Andrew because I travel a lot with my job. I'd be away. I could be in a hotel one night a week, and I'd be over in the UK every 6 weeks, and I'd be here, there, and everywhere. Like, I'm on the road all the time. And people always say to me, who's minding the kids for you? And I'm like, their dad, you know? And then I often say to Andrew, when you go out into the yard in the morning, because we live on the farm, like, I say, do the lads ever say to you, who's minding the kids for you? Because they don't, like, they just don't. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, it is more difficult, I think, in some ways, and people do kind of say, oh, you should be at home with your kids and stuff, but I shouldn't be at home with my kids. I'm a better mom when I'm working, definitely.
Is it just something that you fell into, or you just decided one day you want to give it a go, or did the opportunity come up and someone said, oh, you will be good for that job?
I just really liked what Slimming World was about. It was a very nice place to be. All the people were very nice and everybody was very supportive. And, you know, being somebody who has struggled with my weight all my life, they're not things that you feel around losing weight or being overweight, you can feel, you know, ashamed and humiliated at times. And this was just something I wanted to be a part of. And I worked in Douglas for years and years as a beautician. So I knew the area. I lived there for a lot of my adult life. And I wanted to bring it to Douglas, if you know what I mean. Like, I wanted everybody in Douglas to know how good it could be. And the opportunity came up. They were recruiting for consultants at the time. And I was like, yeah, give me an interview, see if I can do it. And I'm delighted, because if you told me 8 years ago that I'd be sitting here today supporting 65 self-employed people to make their own dreams come true as well as their members, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's before we go, we have something lined up there. I think Brian will have it ready in a couple of minutes, but there's a comment after coming in there, Brian. If you can bring that in and you can read that out. It's from somebody that obviously came in on your advice. So if you want to read that out there, Brian.
Yeah, so it was from Lorraine Healy. Basically, she said, I joined your group, Anne, and that was the best thing I ever did. Having lost weight over 5.5 stone with Slimming World, I'm now a consultant 6 years and a team developer, helping members change their lives like you changed mine. Thank you so much. That was something I was going to tip on even after Alan there a while ago. It seems like it's like a lot of the consultants or a lot of the people came from one side of the defence to the other, you know, and that's probably what makes it a little bit more, more, as you said, self-motivated and the urge to do it and the urge to help others, because once you get to a certain point, you then start helping others. You know, it's like even, look, from a lot of, we'd say, psychologist point of view or anything like that, it's you have to have had walked in somebody's shoes before you can give them advice, you know.
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah, that's so Lorraine Healy, for those who just tuning in. Lorraine's actually a consultant as well. And I think there was a video that we have. Obviously, it was done pre-March last year. You'll see that playing. It's just to give a vibe, I suppose, to people who haven't been in a Slimming World group before. Like, I've never experienced it, but I'm sure if some people are watching this and they're on the fence, as you said there, Anne-Marie, about that man that joined, there's never been a better time now for anybody to get involved in anything, because we're forced into a situation where you're going doing something online, whether it's a Zumba class or a Pilates class or a fitness class. So definitely, like, I think Dean and Brian probably more experienced than me from the working from home thing. They've done it for longer. But like, the working from home,
I've done it longer than Dean.
Just throw it in there. But yeah, it's just having that balance, like, from back then, what we're calling back then, actually going to be put into the dictionary, I'd say, next year. Back then, pre-2020.
Pre-2020, yeah.
But like, when you're looking, Anne-Marie, at what you do, like, you have a structure your day. If you're out, say, or if you're in, do you sit down? How do you work with 65 people and make your time productive for them?
So I have, I'm so lucky. I have a team of 5 amazing team developers who I work with. And then each of those team developers has a team of consultants that they look after. So on a day-to-day basis, I communicate with the team developers mostly. But we discuss, you know, and we help to motivate the consultants to, you know, work on their businesses, work on their groups, and motivate their members in turn. So I don't always have direct contact with everybody on the district, but I know everything about them. They'd be listening now, they're like, oh my God, she's a creep. But yeah, we talk all the time. You know, everybody knows I'm sitting there, like, they can contact me on Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever, and it's just totally like open door. Anybody can ring me at any time, so it's great. But a structure to my day, Alan, oh God, I've many different structures to my day. I decided a few weeks ago, I was chatting to my own manager and I was like, look, if I could work in the morning and do the homeschooling in the afternoon and then work again at nighttime, would that work? And she was like, yeah, definitely, you know, brilliant, let's do that. That was 3 weeks ago. It hasn't happened yet because, and it's my own fault. Like, I sit up in my office all day and I'm, you know, I love working, you see. So the kids' education is suffering, but
how would you deal with, like, even for myself now, working from home since 2015? That's when I started working from home, 2015. small girl in the house. Used to get up at 8 in the morning, ready for school, start work at 11:30. I'd finish at 8. She'd be after coming in from school for 3:30, the mother be out. And it was brilliant then, because once 8 o'clock came, even if it was a Friday, I could jump in the car, go to Man Point, get a bit of grub, go to the cinema, wind down, get up Saturday, go off to Mahon Falls. None of that now. So I even seen working from home back then in comparison to working home now is a lot more stressful. Like, what would you do to fill the time for your kids? So, like, as you said, you might work in the evening, start doing the homeschool in the morning, but what would you do to entertain them? Because look, there's 24 hours in the day and you might only work 8.
Yeah, we're very lucky. We have we're in a bubble with Andrew's parents. They live on the farm as well. So Andrew's dad takes them to the beach. He'll take them for walks, things like that. So, like, they are entertained that way. They always go out on the farm. My middle child, Ava, she's 7. She's obsessed. So they're calving now at the moment, like, so they're going out feeding all the baby calves at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the day, and they could be out there till 6. So I suppose we're lucky, like, we live in the country, because I don't know, it might be harder in the city where there's not many places to go. At the weekends, we try and get out of here, go to Killa Woods or something, go to the beach, just go out for a walk down the road, just anything, just to get out, because the house survives a little bit better when they're not here.
I even noticed that as well, look, because I came from East Cork and I had the Castle Martha Resort in the woods there, Mogeely, walked down to Mogeely up around till Michael Cross and back down again.
Yeah.
So it is great, but some people we'd say, like, would you have any? Because what we'll do is we'll actually take a break, just saying there now, and we'll pick up on that point right after this, just to see, have you any input onto, we'd say, how single parents or anything like that are coping, or anybody in the group like that. So we'll be back right after this.
Hi everybody, it's Alan from Unity here, and we're asking you if you'd like to get involved. If you're a community group, sporting organisation, or indeed a business you'd like to take part, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us on our usual social media platforms, of course our website unitymedianetwork.com.
And we're back. Lads, which one of you want to jump in? Or
I just want to make a point there that they say about this 5K that it's basically regional. So if you're living in an area where you are, or where anyone else is, where there's something that's very open, because all we're seeing, and I know Dean, you mentioned this last week, or was it the week before, about the marina. That's kind of the main central point for people within that area to go for a 5K walk. So no wonder it's getting clogged up and getting jointed. So you're lucky, Anne-Marie, that you have something that's open near you, you know. So I just think that type of an amenity for anybody now, for the children to be able to go off for a walk or a run is fantastic. Like,
in the countryside, there's a lot of space down there, and I think there's both sides to it. But even on that, Anne-Marie, like, you know, we'd say the kids 9 and 7, Andrew, he's obviously still working because, you know, being a dairy farmer is essential. We all need a breakfast in the morning.
Have to have our cereal, like.
But like, obviously then the kids would be with you because, look, grandparents are brilliant and everything like that. But how do you find time for yourself? You know, you have to have some wind down.
I stay up way too late at night just
to
get myself. A bit of time to myself. I'd be wrecked tomorrow then, like, but it doesn't matter. When I wake up in the morning, I tell myself every day, I'm going to go to bed early tonight now because I'm exhausted. When the nighttime comes and the kids go to bed, I'm just like, no, turn on, well, after you get the few bits done around the house, like, just turn on something stupid on Netflix that I don't have to think about and just have a bit of time for me. I try and get out for a run when I can. I did nothing the past 2 weeks. I was very lazy, but I went out today now and I feel so much better for it. I just had a little bit of a break in the day and I was like, I'm getting out. And then I look forward to the weekends when, there's no work at the weekend really, usually. So I take the kids off somewhere or watch a movie or something with them, and yeah, that's how it is. Like,
Brian, can we bring up?
I was just going to say, yeah.
Bring up the video there, and you could be playing that in the background because there's a message there. Dean, you might take some of the comments that come up. There's one or two kind of personal journeys there as well, but we might get the video going in the background, just again for people to kind of see like what they can expect. And I think that, you know, the virtual world is fantastic now for people like that client that you had, that man that finally joined.
yeah.
Yeah, so there was
And
three. Yeah, there's three comments came in. Sorry, Brian. So there was one saying, "Well done, Ann-Marie Nicholson, Siobhan Slimmer World in for Moy." Then there was 4 hearts come in. I'm sure that's for Brian.
Yeah.
Caroline,
Thanks, Caroline.
Bailey.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Greatly appreciated. Thanks very much.
And there's one from the Glamwire group, Debbie Ryan, saying, "I'm so lucky Slimmer World has gone virtual as I've lost 4 stone. Virtual Slimmer World has changed my life. Lockdown has ruined our lives in lots of ways, but one great thing has been Slimmer World has been virtual, so she's able to get some support." Just on that, Anne-Marie, obviously in your position in work, like you have to plan a few months in advance. Like, what are the plans for the business going forward for yourselves?
At the moment, we're kind of discussing how our return to the physical world will be and what it'll look like. We want to make sure that every consultant will still have their venue where they can run their group. But I suppose at the moment, it's just making sure that we're looking after the people that we are looking after, and that we are looking after the area. So every consultant has an area that they look after. So it's really important that we're getting the word out there that we are still open, we are looking after people, so that people know there's something there for them, you know. Because as Brian said there a while ago, like, there's so many people struggling, people who never struggled before, and they don't know that we're open. A lot of other services have moved online, but it's a complete online service. But our service is online, but it's a personal service. So it'll be, the step out will be important, the planning around that. But right now we just want to make sure we're looking after people.
I'd say as well, like, because obviously it's a personal service, probably since last March, a lot of the consultants are probably kind of technically turning into counsellors as well. With, you know, I had a shit week this week. I didn't exercise and I ate more than I normally would have, but that's okay because we're in a pandemic. Like, they're probably dealing with stuff like that as well, more hands-on than prior. Would that be a fair kind of an overview? Like,
yeah, it would. And like, at the end of the day, every consultant will tell you like that they are a member first and foremost, and they totally get it. And that's why it is so important for us to recruit from our member base, because they get it, I get it, I understand the difficulties. But people pay to come to their group to be motivated, and we do ask difficult questions sometimes, you know. We want to help people to lose weight at the end of the day. And while this is really, really difficult, it's a difficult time, we want people to know that they can still lose weight, they can feel healthier, and they can feel more like themselves again, despite the pandemic. So that's what we will work with that person on. But definitely things have changed in that people are struggling with different things now. So, but everybody is just so understanding because they walk the walk themselves. They know how it is, they get it, and they're living it too. So, yeah,
And
I don't know if that answers
do your
question.
managers then have to retrain themselves, or do you guys have to consult with them to see how they're doing as well?
Retrain themselves, you mean?
As Alan said, you're like counsellors as well, so they're getting a lot of information from people that are in lockdown. So are they being looked after as well, mentally as well?
The consultants? Yeah, like every consultant has a weekly call with their team developer. So, you know, if they're struggling themselves, they'll get support and help from their team developer. Equally, the team developers, if they're struggling, I'm at the end of the phone for them. My manager's at the end of the phone for me. And we do talk about things. We've done a lot of training over the past year, especially around all the technical side of things. But we also have done a lot of training about how to help people in this situation. And we do want to make sure that our consultants are looked after, definitely. I mean, you know, it is hard sometimes when, you know, like a lot of our consultants will have kids as well, and they'll be at home and they're trying to run a group, for example, and the kids could be running around next to them, especially if the other person's out working, or if there isn't another person in the house. And we need to make sure that they're running it at the right time that will suit them, and that they are not feeling too much under pressure, because that's the last thing we'd want for anyone.
And you know, the way like many of us, like Brian and Dean, they obviously go soccer and stuff like that. Everyone has some form of a pastime. Because they're all now locked down and they're stopped. Literally, it's running or walking, or the gyms are gone. But like, how do you kind of look at everybody that has gained the COVID stone, or for me 2 stone? Like, how do you keep that person motivated then in a virtual world? Like, what's the key for you at the moment? Like,
I suppose there's different ways, and like, without giving away our secrets, our consultants have tools that they use in group all the time pre-COVID. There's different ways and means to motivate a member, and those ways are still there. We still use all the different things that we've always used. And one thing, for example, might be visualization. You might decide that your next holiday, whenever we get in a plane again, that how you want to. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
I have a holiday booked on my 50th.
Don't say that.
38.
I can't wait to get back on a plane. That's my sister, actually.
After seeing the news tonight, but anyway.
Yeah.
Why? What happened tonight?
Nothing. No, I'm only joking.
All right.
You must go back on English rule.
Oh yeah, we'll get back to our free class. This is a free similar consultation for us. That's what we want.
We're
all help and advice.
And obviously it can be played back.
We're all taking notes. And how would you motivate people virtually, Ann-Marie?
Here, look, I have the pack here. I post you out a load of books. But
I know, I was just going to say it, and even just popped into my head in that point, the way I said, well, a lot of consultants came from one side of the fence to the other. Yeah. And obviously Alan touched and Dean touched on the point, because look, working remotely for another company, we've experienced in how the support chain would work. Would there be many, would everybody, so what I'm trying to say is, would every consultant have a support call, or would it only be when they look for it? Or would it be a case of ye be proactively thinking, we need this support to go down the chain, and we need to proactively be reaching out to people and giving support, and you need to be proactively reaching up to get support?
It's weekly. They have a weekly call every single week. They always have done. We've always done that, and we've kept it. Actually, what's brilliant about the virtual world is a lot of teams, consultants, team developers, myself, all of us, we're able to get together so much more often, like get together like this, and just, if we fancy it, or if there is some bit of training we want, or like a few weeks ago, the company did a big, we call it a sharing in action. It's where there's a panel of people, and they let us know what's really working really well for them. There was like 800 people on the screen learning from all these other people who were doing really well. Facebook experts, for example, social media experts, like Sarah Burke was on the panel. Sarah Burke from Blackpool, Alan would know Sarah, and Caroline, they have a huge following on Instagram, and they were on the panel, and people were able to learn from them. That would never happen in the real world. But anyway, sorry, I'm going off topic now, but that support system is always in place. I have a meeting every Thursday morning with my team, so the other district managers in the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. That's something we never had before. We used to meet once a month, and we'd have to travel I travel to City North Hotel, because there's one girl in Derry, one in Belfast, one near Cavan, and one in Dublin. But we get together now every single week. So
yeah, it's a hindrance in one side, but it's an added thing to another side. We just have a comment there. Dean, do you want to take that question there that's after coming up on screen before we start wrapping up?
Yeah, so James Toomey saying, what tips would you have for comfort eating, like a lot of eating out of boardroom? I think that's what most people are affected by nowadays.
I was just going to say that, that's what I was even touching on at the start, and we will get James's care details, because we know this isn't a free consultation. I don't.
Question.
But I do want,
I use Revolut.
Hear that, James?
Okay,
Revolut.
pal.
We'll send on the
Whichever.
link later. Up here, pal. Yeah,
It's a very good question, because look,
it is.
there's a lot of people out there, like that. I'll use that man that reached out online. There's an awful lot of people out there who will be eating more out of boredom, but they'll never admit to themselves or say, "Jesus, am I actually eating too much?" So that's a very good question, Anne-Marie. If you want to give a response to James.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone is different. I suppose speaking from my own experience as a slimmer, like you have to have a goal. And my goal for me was that I wanted to come out of lockdown feeling different than I have been for the past year or whatever. Same thing with my sister. That's my sister Debbie, actually, who messaged in a while ago. She lives in the Canaries. And she tried Slimming World millions of times, but what she couldn't ever do was attend a group. And she's lost 4 stone now. Like, she's amazing. She was in the Cork Indo actually a few weeks ago. But you have to have a goal. You have to want it. And I'm going to sound mental now, but you know, the times when I feel like comfort eating, I have that goal in my head all the time. You know, I'd be talking to myself and everything like I do when I'm out running. Just, you know, just get through it, just do it, Anne. But it's the same with the food. It's kind of like, if you have a goal, if you can see where you want to be, then that will override the feelings for the comfort eating. And nobody should be too hard on themselves either. You know, this is a crazy, crazy, crazy time. You know, people have to be kind to themselves. Beating yourself up doesn't work. It only makes things worse. And again, that's something we talk about a lot in group as well, is being kind to yourself.
And I even think your sister's message tops
Just
on, or
screen
even
there,
points to that. Yeah, it's going to group is the most motivating part of Slimming World, hearing other people's amazing stories, getting support from other members when you are having a crap week. Being part of a group is still there now because of this virtual world. And I read a great article at the start of this week. It was on my job's it's a kind of an activity site. But it was basically stating that a lot of overeating now, or even we'd say comfort eating, is coming from the mental stress of lockdown. And the best thing you can do is get out and talk to people, meet people online, even if you don't have a support bubble, and get talking, because the more you're talking about it and the more active you are, the less you're going to comfort eat. It's a coping mechanism more than anything.
Yeah, and like Alan said there a while ago, you know, it's a very hard thing to admit to yourself that you're overeating, or I suppose secret eating is the thing as well. And you know, that I don't want that to sound drastic or severe, but you know, sometimes we just don't even know we're doing it. And you feel like you're the only person who could ever be doing this because it's just so terrible. You feel like a failure. You've all these horrible, horrible thoughts going through your mind. When you join something like a Slimming World group and you realize that everybody else there is going through the exact same thing as you, that you're actually not unusual, or that you're not the only person doing this. I mean, that means the world, you know. Like as Debbie said there, like, you know, the group, like I go to the same group as she does. We go on a Saturday morning to Lorraine's group in Glenmire. And they're all planning on going to Puerto Rico, like when we can fly again. There's one woman, she's a manage going, and she's taking money off everyone, and they're all flying out. That's like, yeah, that's how much everybody is so tight and close in the group, like, you know. And like, I don't want it to sound strange in any way, but just you connect with people because you have the same things going on. And as you said, Brian, getting out there and talking to people is the absolute most important thing. Sitting and suffering in silence is not good for you.
And that's one of the reasons, Anne-Marie, as well, that we did try and get John, because outside of the advice and tips you were giving people who are self-employed or who might be thinking of setting up themselves, but also just for that kind of openness for people that are watching or watch this back, that whether it's Slimming World or whether it's something else that you do, whether it's going for a walk or going to the beach, that it's just that everybody at the moment now is in a situation that's unique. We've never been in that situation. And I think that's a very good point, like to finish up on as well, that, you know, we're all in this together, style of an argument. is kind of relevant now, especially with the not being able to do the things we have been doing. So, no, thanks very much for joining us. I really enjoyed the chat on you, lads.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
it's very
I
good,
did
and
as
we're all
well,
going
yeah.
to Puerto Rico as well next year.
Yeah, that's whoever
Yes,
is doing
bye.
the managing now, right? I've taken 3 things away from this.
Yeah.
Free advice I don't have to pay for. I've taken notes. We're all going to Puerto Rico soon enough, and I'm beyond Ann-Marie after this. Free milk for my breakfast in the morning. Brilliant.
And actually,
No bother.
do you know what you could do, Emery? Actually, for the city slickers,
Yeah.
if you've any for a walk or anything, just take a few photographs and put them up on the Unity page. The beaches and the walks and stuff. Obviously, just with what we can see, no family photos, right? Just for people to see what's going on, because I love seeing them on social media from different parts of Ireland where people are out and about. Because again, it's that way of seeing other places that you can't get to know, like.
Yeah, I will. And I love taking pictures when I'm out like that as well, because I love when the memories pop up. Like, so yeah. No bother. I will.
Hashtag life
James
on a
there
farm,
says as
Unity style.
Oh God.
Yeah, up to 5K photos. Great.
I don't go on the farm though, just so you know, like that's not my thing.
Yeah, you have to get off the farm.
Off the farm, away from it all. I know, look, do send
Yeah.
on photos anyway, and even James Toomey there says he's the curator or the controller of the Boys and Girls in Knocker page, which
I saw him a
myself
few
and
weeks
Dean are a
ago.
part of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, great interview, well done, Ann-Marie. So,
Thank
And I
you.
on that note,
just put out a call as well for people who do watch this back. We did put this out at the start of our kind of Monday Club. If you're involved in a business or you're self-employed in any way, or if you're involved in any groups that you want to come on and share a personal experience or something that will benefit people, because believe it or not, the amount of advice that Anne-Marie's after giving people in a number of different areas will help people. And that's ultimately the Monday Club is about, having a chat and having banter, but hopefully somebody somewhere will take something from the conversation. That's kind of pretty much it. Like,
yeah, that's it. And look, on that note, lads, we'll be back right after this. We'll just do an outro, and we'll be back right after this. I was looking for the video there, sorry.
Dean from Unity Media Network here. If you or anyone own a business, or you specialise in a certain topic, if you want to contribute in some way or you need help in a certain area, contact us via Messenger, DM on Twitter, or email us admin@unitymedianetwork.com, or visit the website and fill out the contact form and we'll contact you.